Jeff Borman is the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party MLC for Eastern Victoria. How are you, Jeff?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
Great to have you with us. I'm excellent, thanks. Look, we wanted to check in with you during the duck season. Is it at a satisfactory length from your point of view from the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party?
It's a very satisfactory length. One of our issues is obviously the bag limit, and that between the length and the bag limit, that is always the contention. The length is full season plus a couple of days actually to make it easier to round out the season. But the problem we have is the bag limit of 4 when we've had more ducks counted in the last year than I think in the last sort of 5 or 6 years in total. And just seems to be a bit strange that the number of ducks is down when the number of duck for the bag is down, but when the number of ducks is up.
Yeah, well, it sounds like one of your colleagues in the Parliament, the Western Victorian MLC, Andy Medic for Animal Justice Party, maybe game management authorities listening to him, they've been complaining that there's been some numbers they say are lower in some areas that need protecting, and claim that already this season some coots, blue-winged shovelers and hardheads have already been shot. Are they just focusing on a few, select examples, or have you heard reports of this as well?
Look, I've got to say that the giveaway with Mr. Medic's point of view is in his party name, much as mine is. They are animal rights people, and there is no correct answer for them other than no duck hunting. And they will use everything and anything within their power to try and stop it. Now, I guess that's his way in life, and I as much as I don't agree with it, it's his way of doing things. But there is always cause for contention, and a lot of the time when we hear about there's this shot and that shot, there's no actual evidence. There's a few people who come in and say all we get is some stinky old ducks and a swan every year put outside the Premier's office that have been clearly dead for quite some time. And if there was really any evidence of people doing the wrong thing, then they should be prosecuted. I'm not after to look after hunters that do the wrong thing. I'm after the hunters that do the right thing. And if he's got some evidence, put it on the table, literally.
When it comes to duck hunting, it's been said we've interviewed Field and Game Australia, for instance, in the past, it's quite an investment into regional communities in terms of the tourism and visitor numbers that happen during the duck season. Is that fair to say?
Oh, it's absolutely true. There's some conjecture about the actual number, but it's easy to believe that it's in the hundreds of millions. And when you think about it, there's a lot of these regional communities that put up with, let's call it less than stellar trading conditions, on the understanding that come duck season, they will have a lot of these people come up and spend their money on fuel, ice, food, sort of, you name it. Ammunition. The gun shops that sell ammunition are in the same thing. A lot of them didn't buy ammunition until very late because they weren't sure that there was going to be a season at all. There is a fair economy going around hunting itself, and duck hunting is a major, major part of it.
When you say there's uncertainty around the timing of the season, I was looking on your social media, it looks like you've tried to do something about that in the Parliament to get a bit more certainty around it each season?
Yeah, I did do, or tried to do that last sitting week. The problem I had was with the way it was going to work, I needed the leave of the chamber to put a private member's bill up, and the Greens said no. So I reverted back to a motion, which even if it had been successful, would not have been able to change anything. So it's clear to say that the Greens, I think, were a little bit worried about how reasonable my bill was, because it didn't call for more duck seasons, more anything. It was all about certainty. But they wouldn't let it through.
So you're the lone hand at this point in time for Shooters, Fishers and Farmers in the Legislative Council, is that right?
That's correct.
Yep. So I guess within a state election in November, it's something you'd be hoping you might have a few colleagues to help you get those kind of motions up over the line in the future parliaments.
Oh yeah, the more the merrier. As a group, we are severely underrepresented in politics, and I'm making it my job to try and fix that. And it's not just shooters that are underrepresented, it's also the farmers, it's the fishers. It's just people that are, I think, liking the older lifestyle that we used to have. Australia now is not the Australia I grew up in, and in a lot of ways that's better, but in a lot of ways it's not as good. And I'm trying to keep the good parts, keep them going.
Well, Jeff, we will check in with you again before that state election, no doubt. But thanks for that update just on your point of view as a party regarding the duck season, which I think ends sort of towards the end of June. Is that right?
That's right. It will be be a nice long duck season, if not a great bag. And I think it's also very important to point out, or just a point I missed before, the people calling for the end of duck hunting are using a particular scientist's data, and that particular scientist is helping the GMA work out on a sustainable hunting action plan. So I think it's reasonable to assume that that scientist doesn't believe that his data precludes duck hunting. It may reduce the number and the actual length of the season. I'm not going to put words in his mouth on that, but the fact that he is actually working with the government on a sustainable plan means there is a sustainable way out of this.
Yes, I think it's been said before by our friends at Field and Game that it's actually part of sustainably managing the numbers is the hunting season. Is that a point of view you take from a shooter's point of view?
Oh, absolutely. And even as a non-shooter, the reality to anyone that dislikes this but doesn't have a hand in it is that if there is no duck season where it's regulated, it's patrolled, and there's a length to the season and the number of birds, there will be authority to control wildlife issued, and the birds will be shot on private property where they can't be controlled. The whole thing goes, I won't say behind closed doors because that sounds bad, but it all moves to private property because the numbers of ducks need to be kept down. Not every year, in a drought year, obviously not, but for the benefit of the ducks, really, a regulated season is better than just having it as most of the other states do, and not all the other states, but most of the other states, they just shooting the ducks on the rice, they call it, and they'll go and sometimes shoot a couple of hundred.
Yeah,
the numbers have to be down.
That's a conversation that'll get us into kangaroos, and that'll have to be our next chat, I reckon.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm not for wholesale slaughter of everything or anything. It needs to be done in a sustainable manner. And if I truly believe that duck hunting was a problem, I would actually be probably singing a different tune. But the reality is duck hunting is sustainable. It is probably the most manageable way of dealing with it in the duck season. And it's just animal rights people and a lot of people that are just hypocrites because they eat duck meat but don't like duck shooting, just hypocrites that come from inner Melbourne that just don't like it.
All right, Jeff, thanks again for your time. We'll wrap it up there. Maybe we'll talk roos next time. Thanks for joining us.
And no worries. Thank you.